Hey YouTube, y'all gonna love this one. I'm telling you the truth. Okay, I'm gonna talk about Queen Sugar, season 1, episode 10. Man, this show had me crying. I just watched it again. This show had me crying twice. Seriously, I'm not playing. Okay, so talk about the whole episode. All right, so Michael opens up with Michael visits Kiki in on her. I don't know if it's her job or she's still a student because he's a high school student, from what I understand. And he's going to a prep school, which would mean right after high school, so he couldn't be no more than 17. And I assumed that she was his same age. But anyway, he shows up and she works as a coach for some kind of girls team. So I, I guess she works there part time. Maybe she's a student teacher or something. Anyway, so that's how it opens. Micah and the girl, they're so cute together, at that age. Love is so beautiful when you're that age. Okay, Darla, of course, Darla is Blue's mother. Darla shows up to take Blue to school. And Aunt advised that you wasted your gas money. 'Cause, I take him to school. And then she tells her, she's so meek, she got to be so gentle around these people. I guess she really messed up her reputation. But so we all know that, Vi seems to hate her. But she tells her that Blue told her to come there and pick him up. And so she does take her son to school. Uh, okay. Okay, of course, Hollywood is still romancing Vi. I don't know why I made that notation, but he's a romancing her. He brings her some plants. She's still getting the garden back together. He brings her African violets. And she says, you might as well take them back to Africa. Of course, she's still not receiving him. Or she hasn't broken yet. When she breaks, then that's the end of all that resentment or whatever. He has to break through. So he's romancing her. Girls in the house. Okay. So Nova comes back to her house and it's got all of these girls. Okay. So from last week. All right. Nova has been offered this interview. She's going to do an interview with Melissa Harris Perry, which we all know. I think she used to work for MSNBC. She's a big radio host, television host. She had her own show, and she walked away from MSNBC because they preempted her for some sporting events or something. Anyway, she's big. She would certainly be big. She's a lesbian woman. She would certainly be a big interview. So this girl who I can't remember all these names. I'm sorry. I just have to stick with the main characters. The girl who Nova's having a lesbian relationship with. She is an activist. She works for like a Black Lives Matter type organization. Okay, so she hears about this interview. She knows about this interview that Nova has, and so she is inserting herself in it. In other words, she's giving her talking points. She thinks that Nova's going to go in there and with her agenda. So Nova comes into her house, and the house is full of all these women, 4 women, and they are discussing talking points for Nova's big interview with Melissa Harris Perry. Okay, so she had to straighten her up. She said, "No, I don't need that kind of help," and give it her in her place. She don't need all this help. She's gonna do it her way. And the girl was interfering, so the girl told all the other girls to leave. Let's leave. They were there because there's something going on with this woman's house, and they met over at Nova's place. Okay, okay. So I don't know why they just threw it in there, but Too Sweet, the kid she took an interest in, who she bailed out of jail with Charlie's money. This the drug dealer guy, the guy that she sells weed to, the guy with all the piercings and all that. He comes and tells her that Too Sweet's family has been evicted, and they are staying in a shelter. And Too Sweet is having a hard time staying in the shelter because it's too much like jail to him. So they kind of introduced that storyline, and nothing ever happens to it. I don't know why they even brought that in. Maybe they have to pick it up next week. I don't know. I don't know if they do these things just do an episode at a time, or they just keep recording and then chop it up into episodes. I don't know how they work that, but their storyline is not pursued. You just tell them that they're evicted there at the shelter. Okay, so Michael's new school knows about. Okay, Michael had this scandal at his old school in L.A. where his girlfriend, he was seeing this girl, and someone sent he was under suspicion in school. People were teasing him because his father was involved in this sex scandal, right? At the same time, she receives a picture of a penis. Some guy has sent her a penis. Now, Micah is the girl's boyfriend. She's a white girl. I don't know why that's. I shouldn't even mention that really, but anyway, the white girl, so we know who we're talking about. She's she shows the picture, or her mother finds the picture. It was sent to her on the phone, and Micah is innocent. He is not his penis picture, but apparently she likes light-skinned black men because he said that's not my penis. So she's cheating on him. In other words, other guys are sending her dick pictures, but he's asked to leave the school behind that because of all the paparazzi he's bringing around the school. Just because his family's already involved in this big story with his father. So now this new school he's applying to, this new prep school, knows about it, and they call Charlie and they want to have a meeting. In other words, Charlie seems to feel like they're going to ask him not to come to their school, but she's spoken to her lawyers about it. But okay, so then Charlie has to deal with this meals. I mean, I don't know all the way sugarcane business go. I can only go by what I can pick up from here. I guess the sugar, after they grow the sugar cane, then they have to go to a mill. I guess a mill processes this sugar, and then they have to go to a refinery. So she has to go and deal with these meals now, and the meals are and their names are very similar. So I think they're Bardone, and Charlie's family is Barlou, something like that. These are Louisiana type names, French names. But okay, so she goes to deal with this meal, and they said, well, the price is 60-40 cut. The farmer gets 60%, and they get 40% for the part that they play in processing this sugar, the mills. Okay, and then so she said it's very very high. I'm a sports manager. I only get 5%. He said that's the way it's done. So Charlie does some research. He finds out that this is indeed the way it's done there. They've all been paying these high prices for mill work, and also this man's family, and I'm sure I'm pronouncing it wrong, Bardone. I'm just gonna call him Bardone. This guy's family is actually by marriage uh, combined with the Landry family. The Landry are their nemesis, but they're the same family essentially. So Landry's basically own or control all the mills in the area. She comes back. She has to make the deal. There's no other deal because they also own the other mills. And so he comes up with another offer. He shows her a map showing the land, how their land, the Barlou lands sits right in the middle of the Landry's land. There's a patch. I mean, it's pretty. I mean, talking about, I forget how much it is, 800 acres or something like that. It's a big patch, but it's just right in the middle of their land. So they've been trying to acquire that land. They offer her a piddlings for it in the beginning. So now they're offering her $4 million for this land, which is 6 times what the other original offer was. Now we remember their whole plan was to farm the land, to grow a crop in order to raise the price of the land. So from the beginning, all Charlie and them wanted to do was get the land up to where it can produce a price like this. So it would seem like it would be a good price. It's $4 million. Okay, so I'll come back to that because it's a very important part of the story It's the part that got me in tears, really. But okay, let's work our way into it. Okay, okay. Now, Vi used to work at this restaurant. The restaurant is called High Yellow, and the owners are High Yellow. And the little nephew she fell out with is High Yellow. So that family's High Yellow, apparently. Anyway, that's the name. That's what they call their restaurant. It, uh, Hollywood tells them, "Oh, the restaurant is closed." So she goes down to the restaurant, and the inspectors, the health inspectors, are there, and they're asking for all this information. So they close down this restaurant, but Vi goes down, and she knows all the information they're looking for. She knows. He said it's simple little things like when was the batteries changed in the smoke detectors, but other information as well. All these details that he didn't know about because he didn't actually work there, the owner. She knows what paperwork is and so forth. So she says, "Listen, I'm ready to come back." She said, "Okay, you come back to your old job." And she said, "Oh no, I don't want to come back to my old job. I want you to make me manager with full benefits. Or otherwise, I'm leaving." And this inspector is still in the back working. So he says, "Okay." So he gives her the job as a manager. Then the inspector come out. They work it all out. Now Vi is the manager of this restaurant. She's worked at for many, many years as a waitress. Okay. Okay. Ralph Angel. All right. So Ralph Angel's thing is Blue at his school. They want to go on a field trip. They want to go to the zoo. So Ralph Angel shows up at the school. He says, "Sure, it'll be fun. I'll sign the paper." So he signs the paper. Then the next scene, they call the teacher calls him back into the office and says, "No, we need Vi's, your Aunt Vi's signature because she is the legal guardian." And this sends Blue into something because he really, I mean, it just magnifies or brings to the front fold that he has no power over his own child. He has to go get permission to sign a paper for him to go to the zoo. So he's very upset about it. And as we already know, Vi has been refusing to give him sign over custody back to him because she just feels like he's not stable enough yet. Okay, so this actor, I don't know what Ralph Angels, the actor, his name is. In the beginning, I didn't even like the character. I thought he was going to be trouble. He seemed kind of dumb to me and all this kind of thing. But as you watch, then you kind of get to know these characters and see, you empathize with them, where he's coming from. So he gives Aunt Vi, tells him how he feels about how it makes him feel when he has to ask her permission to take his own son, allow his son go to the zoo. Okay, so now, okay, I've got it. I'm messed up now. Okay, hold on, be patient, people. I gotta go back. So earlier, a couple of scenes before that, Aunt Vi was talking to Charlie because Charlie, uh, Micah's school wanted to see both her and the father. And then Charlie was upset because he said, "Why do you have to involve Davis? I don't want to see him." And then Vi is telling him, "Listen, that is that boy's. I'm not wild about your husband choice, Davis. I think he was wrong on all that, but that is still his father, and he has a right to be in his son's life." And so Ralph Angel hears her saying that, and he got all the ammunition he needs. So there's this. So now when he confronts her about his feelings about not having custody of his own child, or by not having custody is one issue, and then Vi being so angry because this girl wants to see her own son. So he brings it back to her. What you just said to Charlie. You said Charlie has father has a right to have a relationship with his son. It's the same thing with Darla has a right to have a relationship with her son. See, Vi's problem is she never had children. Raising Blue is like raising her own child. I think that's the crux of it. And she helped to raise also uh, uh, my Ralph Angel. So it's like losing her own children. So a lot of her hatred of Darla is fear of Darla, because Darla is the natural mother, and she can take her child back. At some point, the courts are going to declare her appropriate. She can have her son back. So anyway, so Ralph Angels tells the story, and then he is in tears, and that's when I lost it. It's such a well played scene that actually deserves a lot of credit, because he really brought the scene, and so much so that quietly she walks into the bedroom and brings out the papers to sign over the kids' guardianship. Signs it back over. Oh, what he says. His big scene is he went to prison, he messed up, and he did his time. Now, when is he going to be free again? He's already done his time, and he starts crying. And then she starts crying, and then she go get the paper, and they sign the paper, and they have their hug. So it's a very touching scene, mainly because it's played so well. You know. Anyway, okay, bye. I just want to get it right, people. Nova's girl. Okay, so now back to Nova. Nova and his girlfriend of hers. I don't know the girl's name. There's too many characters. But okay, so the girl got an attitude when Nova ran her off, told her, "I don't need your help for this interview. I want to do it my way." And the thing is that everything is not political. You know, she has a mind and she has thoughts of her own. Girl got an attitude about it. So later on, she drives up to Nova's place, and is obviously has an attitude. And then she said, "Well, are we going to talk?" Nova says, "Are we going to talk about this?" And she says, "Well," she brings up this picture in her house of this white cop, who she definitely the activist actually considered it to be her enemy, her arch nemesis is the police. That's who they're basically fighting against. Most of the work that they do is against police corruption, racist police officers, and so forth. So anyway, she tells her about it, and Nova just tells her, "Listen, I like the way he looks, and I like the way you look too. Is there a problem?" Now I was under the impression that that relationship was over, but apparently he hasn't played his last scene either, because apparently Nova still got a thing about him. She still has his picture up in her house by her bed. But make a long story short, they break up. Nova and the girl. The girl said, "We're just too different," and she drives off. So I guess that's the end of that relationship. But since now they've already introduced him back in the picture, I assume that we're going to end up back. She's going to end up back with him, I guess. I mean, that's what they were arguing about. She didn't say that I'm broke up from the man. All she did was tell him that we were no longer together. She didn't say that. She said, "I like the way he looks." All right, so they broke up. Okay, they had another problem with the farm. This farm's a lot of work. Okay, so the workers, the immigrant workers, migrant workers, immigrant workers, what do you call them? They never showed back up after these two guys were murdered. Now they have no workers, so they have to get new workers. And we find out later that she suspects that the laundries has caused it to be. They run off their workers. I hope they ain't kill those guys. I don't know. I don't know. These laundries or something else. And so they bring to a head. They tell us a lot in this next scene, which I'm going to take my time with. I don't want to mess it up. Okay. Okay, so they all get together. Charlie gets the whole family together, and the farm manager. Remy's not here in this episode. Farm manager and all the family members together. She tells them about this offer, that they're being offered $4 million for this land, 6 times what they were originally offered. And then Aunt Vi and this other guy, this land manager, know the history. And the history is, and I'm gonna get this right. I want y'all writing comments say I got it all wrong. I'm sure. Okay. They find out, first of all, that this guy, Barlone, Burlone, I'm calling him, his family and the Landrys are the same family. I think I mentioned that earlier. Okay, they're the same family. The Landrys want that land. Okay, so she brings out the map. Charlie does. Charlie's gotten everybody together to present this offer, see if they can agree to take it or not take it. And she shows them in the map where all that land at one point was Landry land during slavery. So it's an important thing now. Their history goes all the way back to slavery. The Landry family owned the Barlow family, Charlie's whole family. They owned them. They in slavery, and they worked that land that they're on. Okay. Now some of the relatives went off to the big cities. They made money, and they were sending the money back to whoever was in charge of the land at the time. I'm not sure if it was their father or their grandfather, sending the money back to their land. So they had a stack of money. The Landrys got in financial difficulty, right? And they had all this money. So what happened was they bought the land, the patch of land right in the middle of the property from the Landrys. That's how these black people came into this land, this good prime land. Okay, so the Landrys started doing better. Their bad time passed, and they tried to reacquire this land. And the black family, the Barlows, would not sell it. They wanted to work it. So ever since then, this is going back 3 generations, they have been wanting this land, trying to get the hold of this land. Okay, now Aunt Vibe speaks up, and this other guy, he knew the story, the legends also. They're not old enough to be, there 3 generations ago, but they knew it through oral passing it along. That since the Landry started trying to acquire this land, and they said no, there have been a total of 4 people murdered. These people have killed these black people trying to get this land back. So there's blood in the land. Another touchy scene, very well played. The way they discovered it, all this kind of stuff. And so I'm sure I'm missing some parts out of it, but watch it. Watch this episode. If you don't watch no other episodes of Queen Sugar, watch this one. Okay, so they go off and when they get this information, the people have actually died and lost their lives over this land, trying to hold on to this land. Charlie and the Faux family, they go out into the porch, and this thing closes with them saying that they'll never leave, they'll never sell that land. This is their blood, this land. This is why it meant so much to all the generations since slavery. So Charlie says, we ain't going nowhere. We'll never sell it. We'll never leave. We'll never sell it. And fade to black. That's the end of that episode. It's a tearjerker. So this was a great episode. It's wonderful. Please watch this episode. If you don't see any other ones, catch up to here. This is a good history lesson for us all. All right, people. I'll watch it next week, and I'll let you know what happened.